What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is The Guest. The Guest is a 2014 horror thriller film that was directed by Adam Wingard and was first requested to me by Ryan Knox on my Morgan review that I released back on the 2nd of September. So The Guest kicks off when a mysterious man named David, played by Dan Stevens, shows up at the Peterson family residence as he informs them that he served in the military with their son Caleb and was there when Caleb died in Afghanistan. As David interacts with the Peterson family more and more, they become quite fond of him and persuade him to stay at their house a couple nights before he heads to Florida in search of work. Well, the longer David stays with the Peterson family, the more things start to get unusual in the community. And because of this, certain individuals start to dig a little deeper into David's past, and the rest of the film is spent watching David interact with the Patterson family as he changes their perspective on things, while he also interacts with some local community members in a very unusual fashion. Okay, so with these requests, sometimes I watch a trailer before I watch the full film, sometimes I won't. In this case, I didn't, so I didn't go in with any expectations really. And I think even if I had, I would have walked away from this experience very satisfied. I think The Guest is pretty freaking awesome for a handful of different reasons, and I'm honestly pretty surprised this one somehow flew under my, and it seems like many other people's radar. Well, first off, I gotta say that I was pretty blown away with how good Dan Stevens is in this movie. I've never seen him in anything else before, and honestly, he kind of steals the show here. He is basically the main character of this film. He did an exceptional job at being mysterious, intriguing, scary, likable, and a bunch of other things almost simultaneously. His character goes through a bit of a, let's say, a transformation, if you will, and he reminded me a lot in both appearance and style of Paul Walker, may he rest in peace. Dan Stevens delivered one hell of a performance, and this film is very focused on the character of David, and everything else that happens to the other characters mostly has to do with David's presence and general mysteriousness. But man, Dan Stevens, who is actually going to be our Beast in the upcoming live-action Beauty and the Beast film, is going to be a name to look out for in the near future because he's got some serious upside as an actor, and he sure as hell showed it off in The Guest. Maika Monroe, who you may know from It Follows or possibly even the newest Independence Day film, is also in The Guest, and to me, she's always pretty great in every role she does. She was the best character in the complete disaster that was Independence Day Resurgence, she was the best character in It Follows, and she's right there with David for the best character in The Guest. Her character Anna is the younger sister of Caleb, and while she grows quite close to David, she also realizes that he's not being entirely truthful about who he is and why he's there. Anna is sort of the co-lead of this film, if you will, and Maika Monroe really deserves more leading roles because she is absolutely fantastic in every film she does. So while I definitely classify this as a thriller film more than a horror one, I will say that The Guest actually does contain quite a bit of action, primarily in the final act, and it's actually really well done. It kind of reminded me of John Wick in a way, in terms of the style and overall tone of these action scenes. They're a little darker and scarier than John Wick, but they definitely felt at least a little bit similar to me, which is definitely a good thing in my eyes. I still don't think that The Guest is really all that scary of a film, which is why I'm more inclined to put it in the thriller category because it's more tense than anything else. There's a lot of interactions and general conflict that ensue that don't feel overly scary, but just more nerve-wracking. And obviously you combine these elements with some action ones, and you have a film that really mixes a couple different styles and genres in a fashion that really is pretty seamless for the most part. And most of the scenes are really heightened in spectacular fashion by a score composed by Steve Moore. The music in The Guest really adds a ton of value to this film because it does such a great job at setting the tone for each specific scene, and remember that this film changes its tone quite a bit, and the score basically leads the way every single time. I think the music is pretty great and something I'll definitely remember when looking back on this film. I also really enjoyed the climax and ending of The Guest. The story is really paced very nicely, and by the time you actually hit the climax and the conflict escalates to the boiling point, the result is something that's tense, scary, exciting, and action-packed all at the same time. I don't want to say any more than that, but it's all those things, and I thought it was great. Okay, although I really enjoyed The Guest, it's not a perfect movie. There are definitely several instances where the dialogue feels especially heavy-handed. There's one scene in particular where one character tells another character not to accept bullying from other people and to burn the bully's house down with their parents inside, and I'm just like, whoa, okay, that escalated quickly. There's also points where I feel like certain elements of the plot just don't completely connect. The biggest example of this is how the Peterson family puts so much trust in David after spending like 3 days with him. They act like he's been around for 10 years and he's like solving family issues and just doing things that don't entirely make a lot of sense. I think the film succeeds despite this, but there are certain points where you have to suspend your disbelief just a little further. But overall, I really enjoyed The Guest. I thought it had some fantastic acting from its co-leads, a great great mixing of various genres, some really exceptional music, and a fantastic climax and ending. The only two knocks I have on this film are some heavy-handed dialogue and some elements of the plot not making a ton of sense. I'm still going to give The Guest a 9 out of 10 and recommend you watch this one if you're looking for a thrilling, tense, and action-packed film. So did you guys see The Guest yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. Thanks again to Ryan Knox for the request, whose channel link you can find in the description below. Keep them coming, everyone. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.